Hey everybody, Panther 0822 here. We'll get started with den time here in a minute. I want to give people a chance to jump in. I also want to share this out to a few places, and then we shall get started. Is there a reason that this is not in a particular hallway? Oh, no, not that. No. Not video manager. Don't want video manager. No. I want live stream. That tea's starting to kick in. I've had 2 cups of peppermint tea. It's doing its job. Helping me relax and chill out so I can hopefully actually get some sleep tonight. Kiduk. I feel like I need to reload the page. I feel like the page may be a bit stuck. Of course, then I don't really move. Actually, that's not true. I move a lot. I'm very animated, especially with my hands. Alright, there we go. Alright, welcome. I am Panther 0822. It is really late or really early, depending on how you look at it. 1:43 in the morning, officially Friday. Woohoo for Friday! Yay! I think I freaked my dog out. It's actually pretty funny. I did not expect that to happen, but hey. Gabriella! That's enough, baby fox. Gabs is a goofy girl. I love her to death. She's a fantastic dog. Although my buddy, Hero! Come here, buddy. Come to Papa. You're not in trouble. Yeah. No, you're not in trouble at all. Nope. Hi. So this is my buddy Hero. I'm pretty positive everybody's met Hero before. He's my good boy. He's a Keyshawn. Most people aren't familiar with Keyshawns, actually. I was one of those people. I didn't know. Keyshawns are, for a long time, they were actually just mistaken as a big Pomeranian. And that's not too far off. They're part of the same Spitz breed. And they are, temperament-wise and everything, that's exactly what they are. They're a big Pomeranian. They love their people. Yes, they do. Yeah. He's a good boy. And he takes care of me, and I take care of him, and it's good. All right. You probably want down. So here you go. Thank you. Yeah, he's a good boy. I love him to death, and he really does take good care of me, especially when I'm getting flare up. And I start doing certain things on my computer. He comes and he jumps up here, tries to get my attention, tries to give me love, and he's a really good boy, and I love him to death. So notification. There we go. Fantastic. So, anyways, and today's been a really good day. I really can't complain. I got a little bit of Forced Unleashed out. It was the same section that I've been trying to do forever. It's been in a loop, so I really need to fix. I really need to complete that game. But I'm really at a point where I'm probably just gonna ask either the wife or the brother-in-law to play out at least the section where I'm at, and to help me get past it so that I can beat the game. So there's that. And then we also got out 2 episodes of Dragon Age. We are on post-game. Specifically, we're on something called Trespasser. It is a DLC. It is an end. You have to beat the game in order to do this particular mission. And I've played a little bit of the ways through it, and there's a lot of things that I'm learning about the game. My brother-in-law has played through this section, so he knows it. And he really wants to talk to me about it and get my thoughts and my opinions, but I haven't played this section to completion yet. So, and then we were also re-talking about where the next Dragon Age game is going to take place, and characters that we're pretty positive are going to potentially return versus characters that we're pretty much 100% won't return. And again, a lot of that is just a matter of where different characters are at. And I know I've already talked about this a little bit, so I'm not going to dredge on for too much. But it's been a blast playing through it, because there are things that I'm learning that these are things that the first time I played the game, I learned these things. So it's really cool to see that they actually go through and actually provide answers to some questions in Trespasser. And it looks like there's actually going to be some additional answers in Trespasser that I was not expecting. This is just based off a conversation I've had with a brother-in-law. So, I'm really excited to get through and play it. I was thinking of trying to play through to completion tonight, but I really don't want to stay up until like 5 o'clock in the morning to complete the mission. I would prefer to approach it fresh, or relatively fresh, not 2 o'clock in the morning. So, anyways, I also went over to my friend Dan's, and we played some D&D, and we had a really good session. We were able to get to the city of Magnamar, and getting in was a little bit of a pain. There was a guard that was basically trying to gouge us for an extra 5%, and went down 1%, went down to 14%. And we eventually went fine. All right, here you go. Here's the basically we gave them the amount of gold that they were asking for. So, but it was a really good session, and some things happened, so it was cool. That is not something that I'm going to be able to stream for a couple different reasons. The primary reason is that it is at my friend's place. It is not here. So that's the first thing. The next thing is it's a really big group, and it would honestly be very, very difficult to actually set up a stream. That, and I'm not really positive everybody would be comfortable with that. Not everyone is comfortable being on camera. Not everyone's comfortable with that type of stuff. So it would just in a lot of ways not work. If it was a smaller group and they were willing, I might consider it. Might consider it, but that again is really dependent on whether the other players are willing and comfortable for that. And I gotta be honest, I don't think they are. And that's fine, because not everybody gets into streaming their lives and streaming pretty close to everything. It's kind of something initially that I didn't think I'd ever live stream, like playing D&D. I didn't think I would ever do that. I thought I'd just stick to computer games or electronic games more specifically. So something to be played on the computer or PlayStation or yeah. So yeah, let's see here. What else is going on? My MS today has not really been too much of an issue. Fatigue is always an issue. I always deal with the fatigue issue every day, regardless of anything. Unfortunately, that's just part of MS. MS just kind of screws your energy levels really, really badly. It's really annoying. So, I've typically got to find things that keep my attention. I gotta be honest, I hyper focus on playing and streaming and doing stuff. Not necessarily a bad thing to a point, but it could potentially become a bad thing. Because too much of anything can become a bad thing if you're not careful. So I've got to make sure that I balance everything out so that life is good, basically, is how that equates. So again, yesterday was the MRI, so I was an hour and a half of laying on my back. So that was fun-ish. I'm used to it by now. I mean, for the most part, I go in, and the only thing that was actually different was that here I didn't need to change into a gown. Here I could actually stay in my regular clothes. All I had to do was just take off any and all metal items, phone, wallet, things like that. Because again, the MRI is just one huge big magnet, and I don't want to destroy their equipment. Two, I don't want my credit cards to get wiped. That would be bad. And things like that. So, but I'm used to going and changing into the standard hospital gown so that so they can do the thing. So it was different in that regard. But MRIs are not anything new to me because, again, I have to have one once every 6 months on average. My specialist in Tacoma usually ordered a new set. She's like, all right, well, it's about time to do the next set, so I'll put it in to be done in between now and the end of the year. So it spanned a lot of time, but it was normally it was on average about once every 6 months. And that's just to make sure that the Jelenia is working, it's doing its job, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, it's keeping my MS in more or less remission, or at least in check, so that I'm not having any new flare-ups, or things don't get worse than they already are. One of the largest concerns is that my MS is progressing. And every now and again, there are times where things happen where I go, oh shit, I think things might be getting worse. And then I talked to my doctor about it, and they're like, you're overreacting. This is normal. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Or it's, okay, that is something new. That is something we need to add to our list of things. So, they should have the results as early as actually today. So hopefully I get a phone call today with them talking about the results, because I needed those to actually see an MS specialist. And an MS specialist wouldn't see me without current images. So it had to be done anyways. At the latest, they'll have them Monday or Tuesday. They said it usually takes about 2 to 3 business days on average. So I did it Wednesday. If I don't count Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So they should have them done. They should be giving me a call today, I am hoping. Worst case scenario will be early next week. And I don't know if they're just going to call me and talk to me about the results, or if they're going to call me and then schedule a time for me to come in and then we talk about the results in person. I don't know how they're going to handle that here. Typically, the advantage in Washington, and out here it looks like they've got something. I've just got to go to a website and set some things up. But the advantage in Washington is typically they had a really cool system. It was part of the multi-care system, and they had a website that you logged into, and it was a great way. You could email your doctor questions and talk to them about stuff. You could request refills. I mean, you could do pretty much the stuff that you would normally spend a phone call doing, you could just do online. You just go in, boom, send a question to your doctor. It was fantastic. I loved it. The other really cool thing about it is usually within 24 to 48 hours of me having a test, no more than 5 business days typically, my results of that scan would be up. So I could actually go and I could actually look at them. And like I said, usually within 48 hours, typically. A week at the outside, absolute outside was a week. And then that way I could actually go through and actually read over the results. And then I shared them with the wife, and we went over the results and we talked about stuff. And there were a couple. There was once particularly that it made me cry. It scared the crap out of me, because it was talking about where it was a burnout area. And basically for an MS patient, a burnout area is an area of the brain where the myelin has been stripped so much that area is basically dead. It's basically what it is. So that particular section is dead. It's non-recoverable, at least through current medical technology, or at least through current U.S. medical technology. I should be specific on that, because there's a possibility that Europe may actually have some shit that might actually be good. But because of the way the U.S. works and money-grubbing flipping bastards, we're stuck. We're slightly better than the Stone Age when it comes to medical. Pharmaceutical companies want their damn money, and they don't care who they pay. They don't care what gets paid, who has to be paid off to get it on the street, whether it's legal or not, whether it's safe or not. They don't give a shit. What they want is they want their fucking money. So, sorry, I really don't like pharmaceutical companies. I get the point of upselling an item to where they make a profit off it so that they can do things. That I don't have an issue with. I've got an issue when it costs them literally, we'll use $1 as an example. It costs $1 to produce one pill. And most of the time it's actually cheaper than that. Most of the time they can produce pills for like 50 cents, 20 cents. I mean, it doesn't really actually cost them that much. But opposed to charging, so like the example I'm going to use, pill costs $1 to manufacture. So they could charge, say, $3 for me to buy a pill. So $3 a pill. It's not bad. It's $2 above what it costs them to make it. So for the sale of one pill, they are able to replenish 3 pills. It's a good deal. They're not really overcharging. Where I have a problem, and this actually happened, is that there was a life-saving drug And a bottle of like a 30-day bottle or something like that was like $15. I mean, it wasn't too bad. It was, but it was a life-saving med that was $15. The guy felt that they were, and it cost them like 50 cents to $1 to make one. So $15 for a bottle. They're making their money and then some. I mean, it was like 15. I mean, regardless, it was like 15 or $30 for the bottle or something. I mean, it was for so many days supply. Anyways, the point is, the like CEO president dude felt they were making enough for this life-saving medicine, and then hiked the rates to $500 for a pill. And it was like, what are you thinking? And I mean, this particular person was, I mean, it was all over news, and there was stuff and things like that. So, I mean, you could honestly probably find it. If I did it, wasted a couple minutes to do a search. But the point is, that is pharmaceutical companies in a nutshell. Some of them may be good companies. Some of them may be fine companies. There may be no issues. They may barely upsell the item so that they can make their money too, type thing. But by far and large, most pharmaceutical companies horrendously overcharge for their medicine here in the U.S., which is one of the main reasons why healthcare and things like that is such a hot topic, is because of the financial side of the equation. A good solid part of the populace is like, this is stupid. Why are we paying $15 for a pill that only costs you $1 to make? Charge $3 for the pill. You still make enough money to manufacture 3 pills off of one. You don't need to be charging $15 fucking for one pill. That's stupid. But again, it's big pharma. Big pharma wants their flipping money, and they don't care if the common man suffers for it. And there's a psychology behind it, and it's a screwed up psychology. But again, it's because the U.S. is so hell-bent on making money, regardless of whether it hurts a person or not, is that profit is king. And it's really, really frustrating. So I apologize for getting into this tangent. It just, this is something that frustrates me, because my Gilenya is a 30-day supply. If I were to pay out of pocket for that in Washington, it was $5,000 for a 30-day supply. Here in Colorado, because healthcare is slightly different, it's $10,000 for a 30-day supply. That is absolutely stupid. Who can afford $10,000 for a 30-day supply? Oh, that would be the top 0.1% of the nation? Is who could afford that? That's fucking ridiculous. And I need this medicine in order to actually live. This is it's just, ugh. Again, I apologize for getting on this tangent, but it's just, it is frustrating to me that companies feel the need to gouge the common man. On a psychological level, it does not do a pharmaceutical company any good to actually find a cure, because that, in short, could potentially put them out of business. So, psychologically, it makes no sense to actually keep your populace pure and healthy. It actually psychologically makes sense to keep your populace sick. Now, keep in mind, I said economically and not ethically, because those are two very different things. Ethically, it's fucked up and it's wrong. Ethically, it's one of those things where you're going, okay, so basically you're intentionally keeping us in a state of moderate sickness so that you guys can make a fucking dollar. That's really what it boils down to. Plain and simple, task brax, that's what it boils down to. our world is so hell-bent on money. It's so hell-bent on the dollar or whatever currency is in your country. It's just the world in general is so hell-bent on money. And I'm there are things, if people tend to ask me a lot as far as where do I stand as far as like Star Trek or Star Wars type things. And it really does come down to, it really depends. Sorry, my camera activated. I don't know why, but it depends on what it is. But dominantly, I am Star Trek. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is fantastic. It is a beautiful universe. There is a lot of diversity in it. But Star Wars very much exemplifies the greed for money and power. It does a very good job of actually showing how money and power corrupt, especially in The Last Jedi, where it was to a certain degree, it was an unnecessary scene. I've seen YouTube has deleted scenes and things like that, and I've tried to stay very much away from it. There's one deleted scene that I watched, and I already knew about this scene, so watching it was actually kind of cool to actually see it. But it was basically war. It was more or less war profiteering. All of these people on this planet they made their money by selling weapons to both the good guys and the bad guys. That's how they made their money. So when it comes to where do I stand when it comes to certain things, when it comes to this world, I think we should be following the examples of Star Trek. I think we should be looking into ways to get rid of money, make things so that we're either on a barter system or some form of a trade system, or things are given without thought of return. Basically kind of the pay it forward mentality. Opposed to looking at something as a what's in it for me attitude, looking at it as a how can this benefit things. And it's very much a Western philosophy when it comes to money and greed and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, other countries have their own things and philosophies, and so there are always going to be differences. But an example that I can think of that is at least interesting is that Japan looks at things in a way of how is this going to affect the next 10 generations? Is this going to benefit within the next generations? If the answer is no, then they're less likely to do it. Not to say that they won't do it. More specifically, they're less likely to do it. And this is something that I learned from my wife, because my wife very much studies Japanese culture and things like that. So, okay, sorry, I looked up at my phone and I saw something, and it's like, blah. It's just frustrating to me because I don't think that our world should be I don't think we should be built off of money. I don't think a person's value should be based upon how much money they can bring in or how much money are they worth. I don't think that's right. I think a person's value is in their skills. I think if a person can teach something, or is a good mechanic, or is a good teacher, or is fantastic at flying, I think that's what we should be focusing on. I think we should be focusing on teaching people and developing people in a way that is beneficial to the world or beneficial to that particular person so that they can have an impact on the world. I think that's what's important. And I mean, I had a conversation with my wife, and she gave me a really funny look. And honestly, I deserve the funny look. But it is that I was talking to her about one of the people that's very, 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 very vocal and proactive and encouraging as far as the channel goes. And what I was telling her was I did not think I'd be able to have that type of impact on a person. And the truth of the matter is, I really didn't. And she gave me this really weird look and went, "You've had a very large impact on me." And to me, it's kind of like you're my wife, and it's kind of implied that I have an impact on you because you're my wife and I want to encourage you and help you and things like that. And I like helping people. My biggest dream has always been to teach, train, and develop people. That has been my dream. My mental disabilities make college a near impossibility. I cannot handle the reading load by any stretch of the imagination. My reading speed is too slow. And there are very few of the books in an audio format because, let's face it, textbooks are dry. So, for me, absorbing information is very slow. The MS has made shit worse, which is very annoying because I found ways to work with and around my disabilities prior to the MS. The MS just put shit into a whole new category altogether. So, and for a while, I was a martial arts instructor. So I was teaching, training, and developing people, and that was going really well. And then I moved to Washington, and I stopped that. But even with teaching, I was getting to a point where I was enjoying the teaching, but I wanted to get back into being a student more than I wanted to teach. And a lot of that had to do with I needed to bring, I was not in control of certain things, and so I needed to be able to bring in a certain amount of income. And while I enjoyed teaching martial arts, I was not making a lot of income because it was a commission-based job. It's the only commission-based job I actually enjoy. I have done other commission-based jobs. I've hated them with an absolute passion, and they've been absolutely frustrating and infuriating to me. But this is the only one because I have a passion for it. It really wasn't worth. I enjoyed going to the dojo every day because it meant that I got to train and learn a lot of material fantastically, and then I got to share that material with different students, and I got to hang out with some really awesome and really cool people that are absolutely fantastic. And I really need to get them back into my lives because they're fantastic people. But the point is, I did not think I had the ability to impact a person by doing the YouTube channel. I do the YouTube channel in a lot of ways as a stress reliever and as something for me to do because I really can't do anything else. I mean, one of the key indicators that I was having issues when I was first noticing shit was I was working with a 3-pound weight and my right hand just about dropped the weight on my foot because I could not maintain the grip on the weight. No, it's a 3-pound weight. How do you stalk when you are about to drop a box because your hands are giving out on you? How do you do that type of thing? If you, I mean, with the brain damage from when I was 18 months, I had very little patience. There are things that I have very little patience for, and being in a retail situation put me in front of that all the time, but I at least had control with it. With the MS, that control went out the window. I didn't have that control. My MS specialist sent me to a doctor to have a test done, and after the test, it was pretty much ascertained that, yeah, there's not really any form of work that I can do because I can't do anything in a timely fashion. I've never really been able to do anything in a timely fashion, but again, with the MS, things just got cranked. So I'm left with very few options. I have SSDI, which is fantastic. It's a very large blessing. I'm very blessed to have it. I'm very, very blessed to have an income due to the brain damage. So, I mean, we make by. I'll be honest. We make by. I'm not going to go into specific numbers because it's really not important as far as the numbers go. But I mean, we make by with what we get, and overall life is good. The MS just makes things more difficult. So in a lot of ways, I do this, and I do the vlog. Honestly, I do the vlog in a lot of ways because it's therapeutic. I mean, honestly, this is. I mean, right now I have on my computer screen, I have it pulled up, and I'm watching the stream, and I'm watching me, which is always interesting to watch me. And I'm watching the view count, and I'm looking at the chat to see if there's anybody who's putting anything in the chat. And I know I'm horrendous at responding to the chat. There was a person when I did the last stream who sent me 2 messages in the chat, and I didn't get to them. Honestly, I didn't get to them in time. And so by the time I did respond to them, I don't think they were watching anymore, which was disappointing because in a lot of ways that was a missed opportunity for me to interact with a new person and to, I mean, to look at it in a business view. It was a way, it was a loss of a potential subscriber. But the other way to look at it was, hey, I had a person come in and say hi for a minute, and even if they couldn't, maybe they couldn't stay. So there's different ways to look at this, but this is therapeutic. One of the things that you can do that therapists actually tell you to do, and this is actually something that Jack Canfield actually talked about in one of the tapes that I've listened to of him, is a mirror exercise where you talk to yourself in a mirror, and you're very specific about the things. And it's like, so I look in the mirror. Hey, David, I'm really proud of you. You did really good today. You went up and down the stairs a couple of times more than you did the last couple of days. Hey, you were able to maintain and stay focused when you were playing D&D today. That was really good. And you just talk to yourself. The one thing that he does say is at the end of it, you look yourself dead in the eyes in the mirror and you say, hey, one last thing. I love you. And you hold eye contact. And he talks about it, and it's just it's interesting because a lot of people have an issue as far as like self-love and things like that. I am no exception to this. But a lot of it is kind of coming back to the whole. I didn't think I impacted this person in this way is. I live stream, or I record something and then I upload it and then somebody watches it. And I don't know what you're getting out of this. I have no idea whatsoever what you're getting out of this. Like I said, I'm watching this in live stream so I can see the chat. So if there's something that you're getting out of this, and you don't put it in the chat or you don't put it in the comments, I have no idea. So it's just it's interesting to me when I do actually get those comments of, hey, you really impact my life. What you talked about in that last vlog really helped me out with something. What you talked about put a smile on my face. I was having a really dark day and you make my day better. Those are things that I in some way did not think would happen. But something that I have to realize is that as a content creator, when I do these vlogs and I talk about these things and I talk about issues like being frustrated with our pharmaceutical company in the US because it overcharges us, talking about our government because at the current moment our government is just out to screw us over. A lot of people are like, well, did you vote? Yeah, I voted. Well, who did you vote for? I voted for a third-party candidate. A lot of people are like, well, why'd you do that? It's like, you do realize you don't have to vote for the 2 dominant people that are there? I didn't believe in either of the candidates, so I didn't vote for either of the candidates because in the United States, I have the ability to vote, and I can choose who I vote for. I also have the option to not vote. But I also believe very strongly that if you don't vote, you don't really get a chance to bitch because you did not put your vote in. And that's kind of been my standpoint for a very long time. I've tried very, very hard to stay out of politics. I hate politics. I really do. Politics are suck and they're annoying, and especially in the workplace. They create so many issues in the workplace because there are things that you want to do in the workplace, but you can't do it because it'll either politically offend somebody or it will break one of the company's rules, or the company won't do it because they're too lazy to not do it, or they're too lazy. I mean, they're just too lazy. And I realize I'm bouncing all over the place. So, well, I haven't had a vlog where I've ranted in a while, I can tell. There's a lot of things that are in life that you have very little control over. And the truth of the matter is bitching about the things that you don't have control over doesn't do you any good. It's wasted energy. You're putting energy... Thoughts go where energy flow. Or energy goes where thought flows. Either way, it doesn't matter how you phrase that statement. It is the truth. So, if you're having a bad day and all you're thinking about is, I'm having a really bad day, everything's going wrong, and blah, and then that's exactly what's going to happen, is because that's where you're putting your energy. That's where you're putting your thought process, is this is a shitty day, nothing good is happening, blah. Okay, and I've had this happen to me because that's where my mindset has been. My mindset has been in, this is a shit day, bad things are happening, and blah. But if I reframe the day into going, you know what, this is a good day. Yeah, bad crap has happened. I can't change that, but I can change my reaction to things. And that is where you have control. If there's anything that you have control over, it is your reaction to a situation. You can choose how to react. Probably one of the most important things to understand is inaction is a action. And there are a lot of people who would disagree with me on that. And they're like, well, inaction means that you're not going to do anything and nothing bad will happen if you don't do anything. That is an incorrect statement. Okay? And there are going to be people who are like, well, I wanted an example. All right, I'll give you an example. Actually, I'll give you an example from my life. This was from years ago when I was working at one of the Walmarts. I'll give you two examples. Both of them were Walmart examples. I was working at Walmart both times. They're two different things, and they both have to do with reaction and things like that. So I was brand new at Walmart. This was years ago, almost 14 plus years ago. Wow, long time. Anyways, the department manager was leaving and the department manager position was open, and the current department manager wanted me to have the position. At the time, I did not know that I needed to do something, and there was actually something I needed to do with Walmart. You actually have to go, and there's an actual test that you do, and as long as you pass it, you're put into consideration for any management position within the next, I want to say 2 years? Yeah, within the next 2 years. So if a management position comes up within 2 years, your name is dropped in as long as it's something you've selected. I did not do this test. I simply thought telling my department manager and my assistant manager that I was interested in the position was enough. That's all the more I did. I did not take any action. Now, some of you might go, well, you told them. That's verbally saying something. Verbally saying something is like sitting on my ass and going, today I'm going to go to the gym. But if I don't actually go to the gym and I just sit on my ass all day long and then bitch about the fact that I'm getting heavier and my health is declining and blah, and then all I've done is verbally say I want to do something, but I haven't done anything to do about it. Okay? And I've talked about this type of thing, verbal reality versus actual. I've talked about this. So I did not get the position because I did not do anything to get the position. Fast forward a couple years. The department or the assistant manager for the department and the DM, district manager for the department, said, hey, we're looking for ideas on how to improve wireless. They wanted to get it so that all wireless centers were selling 40 phones a month. Not an unreasonable goal, provided you're appropriately advertising and marketing and actually getting out there and actually doing the things that you need to do to get to that goal. Walmart was not. There was no outside signage. There was no marketing that I could see, and there was no advertising other than a TrackPhone ad, and my district manager's answer was convert them from a prepaid to a contract, which most of the time, especially if you know your clientele, and I did, would piss them off. So anyways, so this time I actually took action. I actually spent the time and actually created about a one page list, 2-page list, something like that. And I gave it to my assistant manager and said, "Well, here's my ideas. Here's ways that we can improve." Okay, my district manager, and I've actually used this story as an interview answer because it's a really good example. And depending on how I presented it, I could either present it as a learning experience, or I could present it as a and the way that I approached it over the years was a humbling experience, because I went, this is how I reacted. I was really surprised this particular action didn't happen because of the way that I acted. So, and I was prefaced. It's like you know what, this may not be the best answer, but this is what I've got. And so I kind of prepped them a little bit for the answer to a certain degree. But anyways, the district manager came up and this was a Walmart here in Colorado. And at that time, the Connection Centers was right up front with the rest of the registers, and it was a Friday afternoon. It was Friday about the lunch hour, so the store was busy. People were in, grabbing the things they needed for lunch, doing their mid-afternoon shopping things. I mean, it was a Friday at a Walmart. For the most part, that's really all. That's enough. Opposed to pulling me into the back and talking to me about my ideas and things like that, he decided that it would be a good idea to rip into me at the front of the store on this busy Friday. I, unfortunately, had not had a lot of sleep that particular night, was already feeling a little frustrated, and now I have a district manager who decided to be an ass in the middle of the store. I proceeded to rip into him without any mercy. I was an absolute dick. I was rude as hell, got in his face, and one of the things that I am typically very good at, not always, every now and again I find somebody who's equally or better at arguing than I am. It's absolutely possible, and it does happen. But one of the things that I have learned over the years is to take a person's point of why they can't do it and use it as the reason why they can do it, which is exactly what I did. He said, we can't do, there was a lot of things on the list. We can't advertise for the cell phones. Okay, well, why can't you advertise? Well, Walmart just doesn't feel the need to advertise. Okay, so what you're telling me is you don't feel the need to advertise to bring people into the store to get to your goal. That's what you're telling me. Walmart doesn't feel the need to spend the advertising dollars needed to pay for the advertising and the marketing to bring the customers into the store so that we can meet the goal. That's what you're telling me. You're telling me Walmart doesn't want to spend the money to get the job done right. And by the end of it, he was red in the face and ended up turning away and walked around. My assistant manager was also there, along with my department manager and all three of my managers. I had my direct manager, the manager above that, and the manager above that right there. The only thing that would have made it anything worse was to have the store manager there at the same time. That would have been just God. Anyways, at the end of it, I thought I was completely hosed. I thought I was going to get fired. I didn't. I was actually very surprised. I didn't even get a write-up for it. which actually really surprised me because it was well within their boundaries to write me up and fire me because Colorado's a no-fault state. They were perfectly within their right to do it, and they didn't. I'm surprised. But anyways, that particular story is about action. My department manager, my assistant manager said, "Hey, we're looking for ideas on how to build our sales." I went, "Okay," and I gave a list. The problem is how my district manager chose to react to it, and then my reaction to my district manager. Both were bad. Neither were good reactions whatsoever. They were bad reactions. My district manager should have pulled me in back, should have talked to me in private about the ideas, and should have talked to me, and that's how he should have talked to me about it. He should not have ripped into me in the middle of a Friday afternoon lunch rush. That was bad on his part. He was completely in the wrong for that. He shouldn't have done it, but he did it anyways. Okay? In action, I didn't have to write it, which means nothing would have changed. I wouldn't have had the conversation and things like that. Action. I wrote a list and I got a response. Has Walmart changed their policy? No, they haven't. How do I know that? Because I worked for Walmart again in Washington for a little bit over a year and a half actually. And then the MS kicked in and I had to step out. Walmart has not changed their policy when it comes to advertising for their cell phones. The only thing that they have gotten better at is doing TV advertisement. The problem is they do not advertise for their contract carriers. They only advertise for the prepaid. So when people walk into a Walmart, they don't think, "Oh, maybe I could get a T-Mobile phone here. Oh, maybe they've got it Verizon." They're not thinking that. And I actually addressed that with the district manager. And he's like, "We can't do that because each Walmart is different." Each Walmart does not carry the same contract phones, so we can't do it because of that. And I looked him dead in the face and I said, "Do you have any idea how easy a fix that is?" Not all carriers, in the advertisement itself, even if it's in the text or you have a verbal thing at the beginning or the end, not all carriers at all Walmarts check your store for local carriers. Problem fixed. It was a very easy fix. It could have been done verbally at the end of the commercial. It could be done in the fine print. It would have been better to do it verbally because not everybody reads the fine print on commercials. And if you're really trying to drive contract sales, you have to verbally tell people. You have to tell them repeatedly. You also, when it comes to promotion and advertising, have to run a promotion for 3 months at minimum in order to get it into people's head to see any turnaround. The first month is to establish it. You've got to get it in front of people. And it usually takes about 30 days for people to actually start acting on it. Okay? The next 30 days is basically putting it into permanency. Hey, the Walmart's got contracts. The last 90 days of the promotion is basically putting that into permanency so that people go, "Hey, Walmart has contract cell phones." And some people might think, well, you're trying to advertise for Walmart. You're trying to get people to go. If you go to Walmart and get a cell phone and you say, "Hey, this dude on YouTube referred me," they're not going to know. They're not going to know. Okay? Just plain and simple. They're not. I use this example because it is a life example. It's an example from my life that I can share with you guys as examples of a time when I did not take action versus a time that I did take action. Another example of a time that I took action. I actually had a co-manager come out and say, "Why have I not seen your name on any department manager list yet. And I looked him straight in the face and said, because I haven't taken the test yet. He's like, why haven't you taken the test? And I explained to him as far as my disabilities go. It's like, I've tried taking the test before. I failed the test on a consistent basis because of my disabilities. And he goes, he said, here's what I'll do. I can't tell you the answers, but I can talk you through the question if you have an issue. Cool. I have a horrendous issue with overthinking questions. Absolutely horrendous issue with overthinking. So, true to his word, I went through and I took the test on questions that I was unsure of. I talked the questions through with him. And while he could not tell me the answer, he could, most of the time, he at least helped me eliminate it down to 2 answers. And then at that chance, I had a 50-50 shot of choosing the right answer. That's far more than any or assistant manager had ever done for me. And it was a blessing to have a manager see that potential in me. So that's another example of a time where I was given an option of how I could react. I could say, you know what, I'm not interested. I don't want to do it. I could have said, you know what, I'm just lazy. I could have, I mean, there's any number of things that I could have done, but I chose to act on a direct question from a co-manager who's like, hey, I see value in you as a leader. Why haven't you done this? Okay. So I guess my lesson and rant of beating the dead horse a lot, and thank you for listening to me beat the horse incessantly, is that inaction is a action. Inaction does have consequences. If you do not act, things still happen. If you were in a job and you have a chance to seize a moment and you choose not to, that choice not to is a decision. And it may haunt you. I've had a lot of decisions. There have been a lot of times, like the example I gave you, where I wanted, and back then I wanted to be a department manager. That was my goal. My goal in life was to actually, one, I loved working for Walmart. Walmart overall, despite a lot of the things that they've done over the years and how they've changed, overall is a good company. When I was young, when I first started, I saw myself as a career 20-year associate. That's how I saw myself. I made some really bad decisions, screwed that up. But the point is, when I first started at Walmart, that's what I saw. I saw myself as a lifelong Walmart associate. 20 years, 25, whatever it was. And if I had stayed at Walmart and just transferred back in 2003, I had transferred to a different Walmart, to a store that was technically closer to where I lived, into a position that I was not sure if I could do. It was an overnight stocking position. I failed miserably consistently. And opposed to quitting, I should have just transferred back to my old store. Is what I should have done. I did not do that. I made a bad decision and I quit. That was a bad decision. Horrendous decision. I ended up regretting that decision for most of my life. Or a very good portion of my life, because I spent a very large portion trying to get back to Walmart. And Walmart has a policy that if you leave them for any reason, even if you're rehireable, they will not rehire you within like 2 or 3 years of you leaving them. And I didn't know about this policy for a very long time. And then I've learned it and figured it out. I went, oh. So, anyways, inaction is as bad as no action a lot of times, because you'll end up losing the opportunity. And I've lost a lot of opportunities. I have had a great deal of money due to the medical issues, and I've been stupid, and there have been opportunities that I could have had in life that I pissed away because I made bad decisions. And I'm still paying for those decisions, especially financially, because as much as my wife and I are trying to build a savings, we at this point, we're in May, we should have had about $5,000 in savings right now, and we don't have it because of decisions that, and it's decisions that we've made, and we're aware of it. So I mean, it's not a where did this go? It's a we know why, and we're trying to fix it. Unfortunately, my wife and I have a very bad tendency to spend money as quickly as we get it. It's a very bad habit that we've been trying to break. We've had some success. We're getting better, especially the last 2 months. The last 2 months have actually been pretty decent because we've been able to get to the end of the month and still have money. Not a lot of money, like $1's worth of money, but we've been able to get to the end of the month with money. And we talked about a savings plan as far as doing something, and we're starting that immediately. So tomorrow we'll probably end up taking a trip down to our bank so that we can take care of some things. But it's important to understand these things. And I know I've bounced around a lot of subjects. I know I've talked about things as far as the pharmaceutical. I really haven't. I've talked a very, very small amount as far as my ideas, as far as political stuff goes. My main harp has been on action versus inaction and things like that. So, it's and also the fact as far as I wasn't entirely positive. It's one of those things where I did not believe that I could impact a person in a way as much as I have. And that viewpoint got changed when I talked to my wife. And then as I talked to her about it, I started thinking about when I was teaching martial arts and the students that I impacted, and my chief instructor that I impacted, and my fellow assistant instructors that I impacted. I really did not realize how many people and how many things I have impacted in a very positive way. I didn't realize that until there was a comment from the person that very much supports the channel, and I'm very grateful for that. And for the person that's watching this, because again, like I said, I'm watching this. I know exactly how many people are watching this right now. The fact that you've been watching and listening to me rant for an hour at this point, I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful for the fact that you're listening to me rant for the hour. I'm very. It really is a blessing, and it's something that I can't really stress enough. So again, thank you very much for tolerating my rant for the hour. I was not planning on actually talking this long. I was planning on doing like a short little thing and then going to bed. But I guess I had some things to get off my chest. So, and I don't know. Maybe some of the things that I'm saying are things that needed to be heard. And yeah. So, anyways, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. God. Oh, I don't do anything small, do I? Yeah. Thank you for listening to me. Again, the main thing that I would encourage you is to act. The things that you can control is how you react to something. You cannot control a situation. You can simply control how you react to that situation. And that's the main, and it's a lesson that took me a very long time to learn. It's a lesson that I am still learning, because there are times where the way that I react to something is a bad reaction. I react to something because of the way that I feel. I react because of past prejudice towards a particular either person or situation or whatever it is, I react badly because of those things. And I need to change that reaction to one that is not, I guess, perceived in a negative way. So I guess that's what I would challenge. That would be the challenge. The challenge would be to change how you react to situations. If you are reacting in a way that's saying that this day is an absolute bad day, change the reaction, reframe. One of the things that my wife learned from something called the 8 to Great system is called 3 things. And what that is you name 3 things that you are grateful for. Ideally, you name 3 different things each day, and you don't repeat what you said in previous days. Ideally, but I would encourage you to repeat 3 things that you're grateful in a day, even if they're the same 3 things. Or one of them's the same things, because a lot of times I'll ask my wife, I'll tell her to, I'll do that to her. I'll tell her 3 things, and there are times where the one she has usually one consistent, and that's me. So the one consistent that she typically states, not always, but typically states, is that she is thankful that I am in her life and that I positively influence her. And I can say that if I was doing 3 things, that would be one of the things that I can say towards her, is that she positively impacts my life and encourages me to do better and encourages me to pursue things that I would either A, not normally pursue, or B, I am hesitant to pursue, but because she's encouraging me, I take those leaps. So I would encourage you to find 3 things that you are grateful for each day so that you can have an awesome day. You don't need those 3 things to have an awesome day. It can be an awesome day because you decide it's an awesome day. But every now and again, we need something. We need a focal point, and maybe these 3 things can be a focal point for you. So, anyways, my throat is giving out on me, so I probably should kill it. And again, I've been doing this vlog and beating that horse for a little bit over an hour. So again, thank you very much for letting me beat that horse for the hour. It is again, I am very grateful for that. So until the next time, this is Panther 0822. Peace out, guys. Have a fantastic night.